Hey guys, Felix here, and welcome back to InventBox, where the solution is right around the corner. In this tutorial, I want to introduce you to the folder hierarchy that Android apps use and where to find everything in your project. Now, I checked IntelliJ IDEA again, and it looks like it lets you create a project now. So I'll be switching back to IDEA, but feel free to keep using Android Studio, because like I said before, they're basically the same. Let's open our My application with the very simple toast button from the last video. If you have it up here, then you can open it from there, or if not, we can grab it from the Android Studio project folder where we had it before. Okay. So, besides the code editor, one of the first things you'll notice is this sidebar on the left where we have two drop-down folders. We have the app folder and we have Gradle Scripts. The app folder is where you'll pretty much spend all of your time developing. Here's where your classes go, your resources like images and things. All that is in the app folder. Then Gradle Scripts has stuff to do with actually building, compiling your application into an APK. And it handles a lot of the libraries that your app will use. Pretty much the only thing that you need to be familiar with for now in the Gradle Scripts is build.gradle. You'll often see that in tutorials or installing libraries. And when they say build.gradle, they're usually referring to this one, the module app one. And if we take a look at that, we can see it's got some plugins being loaded, and down here we have a bunch of dependencies. So all of these dependencies are loaded into the IDE here and into things like the class completion and text completion and all those things. So we gain access to all of these tools just by including them here and resyncing the project. And then up in the app folder, you see we have three subfolders: manifests, Java, and RES. Manifests has the Android manifest XML document, which is essentially a map of your entire application. The Android system uses this to keep track of everything, and you can set things in here like defining your activities, your services, content providers, broadcast receivers, like these sorts of things can be defined in here. And then we can also set intent filters. This helps with defining permissions for which apps, for example, are allowed to initiate our activities from our app. Then in the Java folder, we have three subfolders again. And these three are pretty much the same, but you'll notice one is marked for Android test and one is marked for test. These last two are used for instrumented tests and unit tests. And these are for test-driven development. Then in the first one here, this is where all of your actual classes go and most of your code. So you'll have activity classes, services, and broadcast receivers, content providers. All of that stuff goes in this folder. And then RES stands for resources. We again have four subfolders. Drawable is pretty self-explanatory. In here we'll have images, backgrounds, icons, and things that are going to be used within our app. And we'll actually have a whole bunch of different folders in here for different pixel resolutions, but it'll automatically insert those in there for us when we start adding images. And similar to Drawable is Mipmap. In here, you can see there has a whole bunch of different resolutions for images, but the difference between Drawable and Mipmap is basically just that we put the launcher icons in Mipmap. Those are the icons that show up on your app home screen with all the colorful apps. That's what goes in here. And that's just because some devices decide to use different pixel resolutions than you would think that their screen would use. So it's not really as standardized, and so we have a Mipmap section for those. Then the layout folder is where all of your XML layouts go, which would be this sort of a layout where you define what things look like, and then these are what get linked to your activities. All of those you can find in your layout folder. And lastly, the values folder is where we put customizations for things that we want to go app wide. For example, colors. We can define something called color primary dark, or color accent, and then we can reference these names like color primary all throughout the app. And then if we ever wanted to change it so that instead of being this blue color, it's red, then you can just change it here and it updates it, and your entire app will just change based on this one file. And so that's a similar thing with strings. For example, the app name, you can just change it here, and then every instance where your app name would show up would be automatically changed. And we like to put all of our strings in here as opposed to hard coding them into the layout. And you can also use a strings XML file for setting different languages. And then styles, we can describe the themes that we want, and there are a lot of different themes, a lot of different things you can style, but one of the main things, of course, is setting the colors you want. And we sometimes put other things in this values folder, but these are the three default and most common ones that every project needs. I hope that gives you a bit of a better understanding of this app hierarchy here and where to find everything that you need. And in the next tutorial, now that we have some of this background stuff, we can really get into exploring how to code an app and what all is involved in that.